Health, Environment, Risk and Quality Forum. Basically, it's all the aspects that are actually practicing in the space of health and safety, the actual inspectors in the country. It means I generally say all the companies, most of them, they are part of the SHAQ forum in the country. Let me just start by saying I'm here just to introduce a perspective on how we see these things on a daily basis. I'm not too old in the profession, I'm only over 15 years. But I've attended, I have to lead investigation of over 62 fatal incidents in the country that are all work-related. And I was the lead investigator on all of them, so I can recall almost all the incidents that are happening. I will just take an example of saying, in the area of mosquito bites, which is now in the area of malaria, we say if one person passes on in the country, we get worried, we have to report in the international organizations. But let me tell you, in about 6 years, I did investigations of about 50 cases of fatal cases in the occupational health and safety space. Now, if 6 years, 50 people are gone, you can divide that and it will give you in terms of what's happening per year. Moving forward, let me just say we have done some few checks to see what is happening in the industry. Why are we having so much cases? We did a SNAP survey where we're trying to view why people are not complying, or why do we have so much fatalities in the workplace. We realized that compliance in the country, as we speak at the moment, is at a place where we call it's just about compliance to certain legislation in terms of tendering process. For an example, we will have, that's the study, it tells us that only 70% of the people in the country, they are not interested. They've got a counterproductive mentality. They are not interested in compliance to occupational health and safety standards. Only 20% are doing public compliance. In that space where I've circled, it actually tells us that those that are complying, it's because it's a requirement for them to do business in a certain sector. For an example, in construction, for you to construct any project, they will say you must be registered with the construction council and you must have this in terms of compliance. So you find that people have to comply in that manner. But for you to get people to have a culture of occupational health and safety, you don't have to do it for compliance. It must be part of the people. If you make it for compliance, what happens is you find that they comply, but they don't know what they are doing. In a similar way, you'll hang the biggest standards on the walls, but you still have fatalities hitting you. I will pick one of the cases that I've checked, where we lost a manager of a company around Matsapo, of course, because it is within the industrial site. What we noted there, the manager used to go around telling employees to wear their PPE, must be always cleared in the PPE. He was wearing his shorts, he was wearing his socks, he was wearing his boots. He was never wearing proper protective clothing. One day he was moving in between the 10, I would say, to the 1,000 tons of sugar pallets, just put up about 6 of them up. I was an inspector, I was the first inspector around the town there. I came to ask him, can we rearrange the bags? Don't put them as 6 bags going up. Can we just put 2, and then, or just 2 by 2, then you'll put the other 2 on top, so that you don't have such a high level of stacking. He told me to go off. I can't tell them as inspectors what to do. So I left the workplace. In about 20 minutes, I was called to go back to the same place. When I went back, I discovered that the manager I was talking with had his whole body like hidden under a pile of sugar pallets, and he was dead. It was difficult for me to actually articulate that. I mentioned this before, but because it was about him complying to what we were saying and telling everyone to comply, but not the employees. So what happens is, it's an instruction to the employees that you don't apply it yourself. People don't listen to what you say, they listen to what you do. That is why I congratulate the minister for choosing to make us dress in this attire today, because people don't respond to what we say, they respond to what we do. We must lead by example. So this is one of the reasons we have those cases. I will just want to conclude because I'm given 5 minutes here to finish everything in 5 minutes. Let me stick to that. Another challenge that we saw is lacking in the legislation update of the country is Whenever we update the legislation, we're looking at South Africa as an example. South Africa has an occupational health and safety legislation of 1993 that is, as I speak, being updated. And it is, if I can calculate the number of sub-acts under it, or regulations under it, it's sitting at around 50 regulations. In the country, we've got very few regulations. We've got one act, and that has been here since 2001. It's newer, but does it have the impact that we're looking for? It will have it if we put together the other policies that need to be in place. So let me just conclude by saying, to manage my time. In the country, we are under COVID as we speak. The theme is talking about us being able to have systems that are resilient. In the country, we've got COVID as we speak. COVID-19 has shown us a different perspective. First of all, there's a policy that is speaking across SADC that is speaking about fatigue management. COVID has given us a site to protect our country citizens, but it made us to also check if we've done a correct investment to our health providers. That's the reason I'm saying is because when we talk about the standard of fatigue management, it tells that a normal person that is working across is supposed to work about 176 hours per month. That's for you to be able to rest and recover. But you find that when there are crises like this, people are pushed to work beyond 300 hours per month. And if you calculate that, it means the person is now, if you're supposed to retire at 60, if you're working 300 hours, it means you have to retire at 40 because you have done the hours of work by counting the number of hours you spend at work. So you are done. So you find that people, when they retire at 60, they don't have the energy that we can draw, the knowledge that we are looking for, because they are drained, which is a perspective that we have to sit around as a country and look, do we have a legislation, do we have a provision, do we have some kind of a policy that regulates that? Don't push people to work overtime and pay them. Don't allow the overtime to exist if it is now over and is creeping on the fatigue issues, because people will want to do anything to get paid. But what about their fatigue? What about their recovery of their bodies? How about other diseases that can come in hand when they're actually tired and the immune system is down? So basically, I want to say this is our perspective as practitioners, that we have what it takes, but we need to change the way we apply it in the country. We have to improve our legislation. We have to have everyone being part of what we do to be hand in hand with us when we are trying to comply. I don't want to waste time. It's 5 minutes. I think I'm done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.